Well, today we're starting our new way of recording. I'm going to be doing the letters of John Nelson Darby, Volume 2, Letter 596-270E of 1031. Page 403. Dear Mrs. J.R. Trench, I believe Hebrews 10, see note, is absolute and forever. It is a question of imputation and a purging conscience, not of sensibility to failure and confession of it, which is the state of the soul connected with the communion or fellowship to which 1 John 2 applies. But here the apostle says, if this were not perfecting forever, in the Greek word, Christ must often have suffered from the foundation of the world. But he was once offered to bear the sins of many. And when I go to God, even confessing failures, he is there, and all the value of his blood. So the imputation is impossible. And in 1 John 1:2, we have Jesus Christ the righteous, and he is the propitiation. That is the basis of advocacy, and the very ground in that part of Hebrews, that the falling into sin is fatal and finally drawing back to perdition, is that there is no more sacrifice for sin. But this for the such and for the believer is finished, in that being but one. But then the one for the believer must finally and forever settle the question, or it never could be. And this is the furthering of holiness, because what would be otherwise a question of acceptance and righteousness is now a question of holiness and walking with God, and present divine favor and communion. But as to conscience of sin, I cannot go to God and not find Christ there, not without blood, who bore them all, so that it is impossible that can come to in question as the imputation, or my conscience be burdened with them, as yet unsettled between me and God. But it makes them doubtlessly hateful. As to holiness, the one in the light as God is should do them, and find ever monetary pleasure in what makes Christ agony. But if it did, it cannot be imputed. Numbers 19 is applicable here. The great day of atonement was valid, or he would not have had that. And he was an Israelite. I believe it is to be of a great moment to true holiness, to know that the worshiper, once purged, has no more conscience of sin. When he has himself purged our sins, sat down, it is absolute for divine glory eternally in its value and unchangeable, and a whole finished part of this Greek word. Note, as to the application of the truth of no more conscience of sin, would it be right to apply it in the case supposed in 1 John 2:1, that is, of the believer sinning, when Hebrew does not support such a case, but assume a walk in the weakness or need, yet consider with our Christian deliverance, and treats sin after Christ is known as hopeless apostasy. Is it then still true to say that if a believer sins, there is no more conscience of sin? End of note. It is a good thing to dwell in God, and He in us, and know it by the Spirit. Affectionately yours in the Lord. August 1877. Reference number 52270E.